morning to Let's Make a Card. This morning I'm going to walk you through the steps to make this shaker card. Here you'll see a couple of variations. The one I'm going to make is going to be more like this one, where your greeting and your confetti is inside. You can also do it this way. I forgot to put the greeting on this one on the inside, so I just put a little banner there that said celebrate. I'm using the Serenity paper pack and card making stamp set. I just checked on the OBA and this set is still available. However, the birthday one I used is not. Serenity paper packs are still available also, even though they're in our last month's catalog. So if you're interested in making this the way I made it, you'll need absolutely this one and any kind of greeting that you want that will fit inside here. The inside of the little wreath cutout is 2 inches, 2 by 2. So you easily can find a 2 by 2 greeting to stick inside there. Another thing you will need are the shaker window foams, the round ones. I love these because when you take your rim off on these, you have all these little squares on the inside that you can reuse for another purpose. Like I used them on this piece here to raise the greeting. I used some of those squares that were left over, so they work great as you get a good bang for your buck when you purchase these little round frames with the acetates. The acetates are in here also. We'll be using one acetate and one of these for our card. So anyway, so that's that for now. You'll also need some confetti. I have the new flower confetti from our new catalog, and the loose sequins are in the main catalog because it's Bluebell, and that's our color of the year. So these are in the main catalog. These are in the mini right now that we're currently offering. Now that's it, I think. I also did use my MISTI, and I want to run you through an easy way to use your MISTI when you cut and stamp. So I would say make yourself a square. Cut yourself a square out of, I used French vanilla. This is actually white. A 4 by 4 square. I cut a 4 by 4 square, and then I set it in here like so. I actually used a piece of tape too because my magnets sometimes move and I don't want them to move here. So I set up my MISTI with some tape, and these little pieces just barely go over the edge of your little piece like this. I did that also because I did not want that to move because I did double stamp this. So you fit your little piece in like this, and then you put your little tape over the top on just on the edge, because see, that's not touching where it's going to stamp. Then I take my stamp from my stamp set. Right here. And I lay it on top of here. You'll see it'll fit over those little slits, those little slices that the die makes for you. And then you just fit it on there like so. You line it up with the die. Actually, I'm just lining it up with what I've already stamped. And then you just close the cover of your MISTI, and it's on there. And see, by putting that tape down, this doesn't move, so I can double stamp it. This one's already stamped, and I did use my MISTI to do this, but I also wanted to show you another way that you can accomplish the same thing. It's a little different, but it'll work, I think. So if you don't have a MISTI, you take your little piece right here. This one's not quite square, and you can tape it down to your mat. I would say try to get it straight on your mat, but just tape it down on your mat like so. So it stays in one spot here. Make it better. Let's not tape down straight. There we go. Get it straight and tape it down on your mat. Put your stamp on your block. I hope this one's big enough. Nope, it's not. I don't know if I have a block big enough for this. I don't think I do. Well, anyways, You have to have a block big enough for this. I'm going to just demonstrate with one that's not quite big enough. So then you're going to take it and you're going to put your little piece in here, like so. And I would say tape that down again too. Let me see, just grab a piece of tape out here. I don't have any more over there. Just use a little piece of tape on the edge here to hold this in place. And then lay your stamp, line it up. Again, you have to line it up with the little grooves so that the little petals are on the grooves, like so. And now I would say get your finger pieces, that the little indents on our blocks, which I love so, and just line them up straight like this. So now when you go down to do it, you can do multiples, just like so. Put your stamp up here, put another one in, and go down like that. It will work as well as a MISTI. You will have to work a little bit, but since if you want to double stamp, because our stamps are clear, you can, you know, kind of stand up over it, and once you've got it done once, you can line it up and do it again. This stamp set's pretty forgiving that way because it's, you know, it's a wreath, so it doesn't matter if it's completely right on all the time, but that will work also. I thought I would give you non-MISTI users a little way to do it also. I can't, you know, tell you enough about the MISTI. I love my MISTI. Close to my heart, does not sell it, but that's okay. I still have it and I use it like for these kinds of projects, especially since I don't have to buy the bigger blocks, and this will fit in there. So the one I used is a smaller one. I also have the medium-sized MISTI, but for bigger projects, but this works awesome for that. So that's how you would accomplish that. So onto the card. The next piece we're going to do, we need a card, and you need a piece of the multi-colored like this. I just used scrap that I had already, so I didn't worry about the length. But to do it, you would obviously need, your cards are 5.5 by 4 1/4. So you would need it 5.5 across this way. Mine's a little longer. I think mine's 6. Yep, mine is 6. So when you see me do it, I will just trim this end off when I'm finished. But it's 5.5 by 3. So you need a 3-inch little strip of 5.5 by 3 paper. And then I'm going to use my tape gun to put that on there. And you're going to center it. You're going to put it right in the center. I got my card set up first. So, you know, center it as best you can. I like to use my Versamat for that because it works really well. And just put it right on there, like so. Next, you're going to need 2 1/2-inch by 5.5 sapphire strips. They'll go down next. And I just butt them right up to the edge. It's not going to matter if there's a little space there because we're going to cover that with a zip strip. So your card so far. Now mind you, I'm going to trim this edge, so mine's a little bit of a project right now, but it's okay. It'll be fine in the end. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your zip strip and you're going to cut it in half on your trimmer. And I'm going to show you a little trick for that too, because so many times I've done it and the darn thing is never straight. Well, this works pretty good. You take your trimmer, you take a zip strip. I'm going to use a different one because this is the one I have on my thing right now. On my thing. Now you line it up. I'm lining mine up right on the 1/2 inch on either side of this. And you can push it up if you want to get a line on the bottom to make sure you're straight that way, but I just kind of put it here because you can tell if your lines are on the lines or on the edges, like that. And then you're going to take a little piece of your blue tape or any kind of tape you have, Post-it note, whatever, and just tape it down on the ends. Because this comes right off and it doesn't hurt your paper. You could use washi tape if you have it. So that way, when you cut your strip in half, it doesn't move. small pieces like this are very difficult to cut. And then when you want to take it up, you just pick up your, see, and it comes right up like so. And that works perfect. Look at that, it's perfect. I love it. I can never get them straight any other way. I just figured that out the other day, and I love doing it this way now. You can cut your zip strips perfectly in half, and you needed this one in half because you didn't want a great big thick one. These are 1/2 inch, the zip strips, and I cut it down to a 1/4 inch. So that's an easy tip for cutting your zip strips in half. Next on this, I used my tape runner again. I'll do it here on the silicone because it's going to be over the edge, but I don't care. I'll just rub it off with my fingers, or if you've got a little eraser, glue eraser, you can use that too. And then I just kind of laid it like this. Notice how I have it in my hand so it doesn't stick down where I don't want it. And I put this right on the edge of the bluebell, the sapphire, over the top of the sapphire actually, and on the edge again. And again, it's not going to matter if you have a little bit showing here because we're also going to put another layer on here. And then I just use my scissors to trim it off on the side here, just like that. And then I'm going to do it up here on the top. Same thing, up fairly close to the edge, but it's not quite, you know, it isn't going to matter if it's quite covering that because, you see I'm just rubbing that off there, the extra adhesive that's on the edge. I could get out my little eraser if I knew where it was right now, but I don't, so it's okay. Your fingers work the same. Just to rub it with your hands as long as they're clean. Okay, now I've got 2 little 1/8 inch strips of bluebell glitter paper. You could use silver too, that would work, or gold, whichever you prefer. Now, when I use this though, I prefer to use my liquid glass because that gives you a little bit more wiggle room to move it rather than your drier adhesives. And I just run a little small bead, not much, just dab it on there a little bit, all the way to the end so it goes down good on the ends. And just like that. And then you're going to cover that little gap between your zip strip and your pattern paper there. And that's how I did this, right like that. Covered it up beautifully. Because who wants to spend forever on a card? I know some people are very exacting about their cards, but mine, I try to get them as straight as I can by eyeballing them. I don't measure because it's a card. I don't measure much anyway, period. Not my thing. Just doing them is my thing. Here you go. Get them done, I say. Get them done. Get them in the mail. Mail them out, especially now this time of the year when we can't really do much else. So you can tell mine's not perfectly straight, but here it is, the card. I like this. So that's your base. That's your base. Now I'm going to trim off, like I said. I go from the inside and I just take my scissors. And I love these micro tip scissors. These are the non-stick ones, the best scissors ever. I obviously have not cut wire with these because I have my Tim Holtz ones to do that with. But as far as cutting any kind of paper or ribbon, it doesn't matter. You can cut from paper to ribbon and they don't fray. They cut really well and they don't stick. Stuff does not stick to them. There you go. I've trimmed that edge off. I got to trim the other side a little bit, I think. Yep. Got another little doodah hanging off there. Cut that off a little bit more there. Get closer to the edge a little bit. There we go. So there's your card top without anything on it yet. Next, we're going to take our little clear plastic. Now, on one side of this, I always have a hard time figuring out which side it is, has a little piece. I usually use my scissors, and I kind of just stay right as close as I can to the edge to figure out which side it is. See, I don't think it's that side because it's not coming up. It'll come up pretty quickly. If you'll see it come up, and you'll see that it's, you know, makes it uneven, like right there. I can see that it's coming. And then once you get that little edge, you can just pull it right off. Another little quick tip I like to use is I like to use my little embossing buddy just to give it a little anti-static before I actually put it on top so that my sequins don't stick. Now, on this, what I did was, you don't have to do it first, but I did do it first. I pulled up my little edges, and I just used my fingernails and pulled up all my little petals on my wreath. Two things why I did this. One is because then it helps me see the back side where I have to put my adhesive to fit on that. The second reason is I think it would be harder when you have the acetate edge to contend with on the other side to pull them up. I mean, they do pull up fairly easy. They cut very well on my, I use the Vagabond to cut with, and I've had no trouble with the dies so far. It cuts well. We do sell a new cutting machine, but I think you can only get it if you're a hostess. It's under the hostess reward things. And I don't need another cutting machine. I have enough. So then I've got these all. Now when you lay it down, it's going to be up a little bit. But again, I'm going to use liquid glass, and I'm going to go just around in here. Right around in this inside edge. You'll see there's like almost like a ring. And the acetate will fit. And I don't put a lot. You don't want to blob your stuff here because then it's going to spread out around the edges. And you don't want that because you don't want it to, you know, stick down your petals. But again, I'm just going around the edge and just dotting it on a little bit. Make sure you kind of cover it fairly well. You want to get it all the way around the edges. I just kind of blended it. There we go. So now that's there. So now I'm going to take my acetate and I'm just going to kind of center it. And you'll see it'll fit right over. It actually overlaps onto the, you know, where the petals have been pulled up. And you can kind of just center it. And then once I get it like that, oopsie, it moved. Once I get it like that, get it centered, you can move it a little bit. And then I'm going to turn it over. Now my next step is I want to make sure that it adheres well to here. And you can see how it kind of bumps up. I use my bone folder and I just go around in the middle of the, kind of like right on the vine that goes around this. And I just kind of push it down with my bone folder so it will get a good grip. Because you don't want this sliding off. This is going to hold your sequins in. Once you get it, you'll see it's when it's down. You can tell when it's all adhered because it kind of bumps up a little bit, and you don't want it to bump up. You want it to be nice and flat on your acetate, and it will go down nicely. Like all wet glues kind of bump your paper up a little bit. This won't. After you get it down, it won't. There you go. And then I just set this aside to dry for a little bit. And if you get any on here, you can just use a little water, and I use a microfiber cloth to wipe it up. Dry microfiber. Now, our next part is going to be with the card and the disc with the stuff on it. Now, I know their tip is to go around like this with your fingernail, and this works good too. You can do it this way. It'll do it. You just kind of go in between where all the little ones are and the edge of the thing. But I decided to try and use my bone folder, and that works just as well, and it goes quicker. So I use my bone folder, and I just go right in that crack right around the edge. And make sure you're pushing down on it, though. You don't want to push off to the side. Now, next step is, before you do this, if you're going to stamp a greeting underneath, you've got to do it now. So, I think I'm going to try and do happy birthday. Let me see if that's too big. It might be. Yep, it is. So, let's see. Birthday hello is going to be just as big, I think. I have to find one that'll fit inside there. And I haven't used some of these. This one might work okay. I think I'll try this one. Birthday Hello. And it's from D1899. So if you have that one, you can use it. But if you don't, then you aren't going to be able to get it because it's not available now. Cover up my glue because I don't think I need that open right now. And I think I'm going to use sapphire on this. It's light enough so the sapphire will make a good impression. If you'd use the darker one like I did here on this one, I did use black because I thought that would show the best. If you wanted to, at this point you could emboss a greeting here too with your heat embossing gun and your gold or your silver embossing powder. That would work awesome too. But I'm just going to stamp it because this works well too. Make sure you ink it up well. And I always kind of rub it a little and then pat, pat, pat to do that. And then find your center. You can always move your ring around once you get it here. See, I'm going to find my center and I'm going to stamp down and hold it for a few minutes so that the ink transfers to your paper. And there you go, a perfect stamp. The key is to ink it well and hold it down and let it sit there. Next thing, there's paper on here. I'm going to take the paper off here. I'm just going to peel that one ring piece off so that it exposes as a sticky. See, I just took the ring off, the donut ring off. And now this is going to be tricky because I can't see through here, so I have to kind of figure out where my center is here. And I think I've got it pretty well centered. And I'm just going to drop it down. Give it a little tap around the edges. And now, here's the part you want to do. You're going to pick it up like this. You're going to take the top edge that's